One of the most important skills in real estate is being able to quickly underwrite and analyze a deal. But most investors have no idea how to do this or what they're looking for. I see 300 to 500 deals a day, and it's my job to be able to find the best ones quickly so that I can send it over to my clients to get into, or I can get into it myself. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my step-by-step underwriting process where I can see a deal and underwrite the entire thing in 10 minutes or less. What I have on the screen here is the spreadsheet that I used to use for years to underwrite all my deals. It's a lot quicker now. I have a tool that I built in Claude that does all the work for me, so I can just paste in a link in all the pictures and it does all the work. But for this example and this video, I'm going to use this spreadsheet because this works perfectly fine. And I'm going to go to the MLS, I'm going to go to Zillow and just grab a couple examples and show you how we can do this. So first thing, before we begin and go over an example, we need to know what we're looking for. What is a good deal and what exact numbers are we looking for? Now, my focus is Section 8 and affordable housing and primarily single family homes. We also do small multifamily like duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes. But for this video, I'm going to focus on single family. There are two types of deals that we look for. The first is a BRRRR deal. BRRRR stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. I'm not going to go into this a ton in this video as far as like what this means. There's a ton of content around the BRRRR strategy. I'll save that for future videos. But we do Section 8 BRRRR deals, and that makes it easier to cash flow. So what BRRRR is at a high level, it's a capital efficient strategy. Let's say that you're starting with 100 grand. You could put 100 grand into a deal, and if you buy it correctly, you can refinance, do a cash out refinance and pull a lot of your capital, if not all of your capital, and sometimes capital left over out of the deal and use it for your next deal. So you're using that same 100 grand and recycling it to future deals and building a bigger portfolio that way. The downside is it's hard to find a perfect BRRRR deal nowadays, or it's harder if you don't know what you're looking for. And it's also lower cash flow than the second type of deal that we look for here. The second type of deal is a light rehab or turnkey deal. This is a property that needs very little, if any, work, and you could buy it, rent it out pretty much right away after you close. And so we're looking for a couple of different things here. On the BRRRR side, we're looking for, or at least I'm looking for, $15,000 or less left in the deal of our own capital. I want a 50% plus cash on cash return with $300 to $700 a month in net cash flow. If we're above that, great, that's even better. But this is what we are looking for. Light rehab and turnkey deals, I'm looking for $500 a month minimum net cash flow. And typically we're between $500 to $1,500 a month depending on the deal. And I want a 20% plus cash on cash return. Now, cash and cash return, what that means, if we invest $100,000 into a real estate property or portfolio, I want $20,000 a year in net cash flow on that $100,000 invested. And that's just cash flow alone. That's not including appreciation, principal pay down, and tax benefits. So that's cash on cash. Whatever I have invested, I want this percentage of it coming back every year in cash flow alone. And this tool is built, this spreadsheet is built so that you can easily see that. So we're going to go directly to Zillow here, and I'm going to find a deal or two, and I'm going to walk through how we would analyze it and underwrite it in 10 minutes or less. Okay. This is the first market that I bought in. This is Cuyahoga County. It's the greater Cleveland area. One thing I will say, when you are going into another market, if it's remote and you have no knowledge of the market, I would highly recommend that you work with somebody, and it doesn't have to be me, but work with somebody who knows the market, who can guide you. It could just be like your agents and people on your team who are boots on the ground. But you want to work with somebody who knows the area because they're going to save you from buying in an area that you really don't want to be in. The first house that I almost bought was about 3 doors down from where a serial killer used to live. And nobody wanted to rent in that area because there was a prolific serial killer that used to live there. His name was the Cleveland Strangler was the name. So make sure that you work with somebody who knows the area so that you don't buy in a really, really bad spot. I'm going to scroll through this. I know this market like the back of my hand now because I have most of my properties are here. So if I'm scrolling through this, I know what I'm looking for. I'm going to pick something. I have a bunch in 44105. So 44105 is pretty good. I'm going to take this one here. So we have the price, $37,900. This, I can already tell it's most likely going to be a BRRRR deal because of the price point and because I know it's going to need some work. So I'm going to go to see the photos. And I have a tool where I just pop in the link and it looks at all the photos and it analyzes it. If you guys want to see that tool in a future video of me going through it, then let me know in the comments. But this house, I mean, it's not, I've seen much worse than this, but I'm just going to guess based on this price point, I'm going to guess it's going to need about, because they don't always show all the damages in the pictures, I'm going to guess it's going to be $30,000 in rehab. And the price point is $37,900. So I'm going to do $37,900. Closing costs on an investment loan are going to be roughly $6,000 to $7,000. And that's what we have here. What I'm going to look at next is, sometimes it'll tell us directly on the listing. I'm looking for property taxes, $170 a year. Okay, that can't be right. Let's just use this here. That's crazy. I'm going to put 61. For insurance, yeah, I'm closer to like 80 a month. Water, sewer, we pay this as the owner. And then management, we have property management partners. They charge 10% of gross rent. So you can see here, whatever the rent is, it's going to take 10% of that. So we have the price point, the rehab, we have property taxes, insurance, water, sewer, and property management. And now I'm going to go into here and look at the bedroom. So one thing I like about Section 8 is we can see what, with a good amount of certainty, what we're going to get paid based on the size of the home as far as bedrooms go. So I'm going to go to this site here. This is the Housing Authority site for Cuyahoga County. And we can scroll down. There's a government site. Go to huduser.gov, I think is the link. And you could look at 2026, look for the state and look for the county. And then you would look up the zip code and it would tell you these numbers. This is the payment standard. So the payment standard is basically what the Section 8 program will pay maximum for the amount of bedrooms. So you can see here we have 4 bedrooms. We're going to select 44105. And we're going to assume that we're going to get 90% of this amount because that's typically where we are. So this is the max that they will pay. They'll pay up to $1,661 for a 4-bedroom in 44105. But I'm going to take 90%. So let's just say $1,500. We don't want to underwrite for the best case scenario. So I'm going to do $1,500. And this is a potential BRRRR deal, right? So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to look at where this is on the map. Let's see here. BRRRR deals are a lot harder to underwrite because you have to do more steps. So you can see here, Broadway, Slavic Village. We're going to look down and here. So what I'm going to do now is just go back to Zillow, or I'm going to go to Cuyahoga County. Let's just do 44105. And I'm going to do sold. This is how we look at comps. So sold. Let's just leave this. And I want to see like if there's any houses in the range that I'm looking. I want houses that are going to be worth or that have sold around $100,000 or more. So we know it's kind of around here, right? This area here. I think it was right around here. So these would count as comps here. They're close enough. Usually I look for a half a mile or less. And so you could see here for a 3.2, that's 105. It's pretty nice. Up here is 129. So there's a 4.1. It's around the same size, right? So we can, I'm not going to take this max amount here, 130, but let's just say 115 or so. Yeah, this is about the condition that we fix it up to. So I'm going to say 115. Okay. And we have the monthly rent in here. And what this tool does is it breaks down both scenarios. So it breaks down the BRRRR scenario. Does this work as a BRRRR? Does this work as a normal light rehab or turnkey deal where we just put 20% in and then we also have to pay for the rehab out of pocket? It actually does work in both cases, right? If we look at this, what do we have here? We have $500 a month net cash. So we have $852. So we're above that. And we have 22.94, which is above 20% cash and cash return. So we're above that as well. As far as the BRRRR method, do we fit those criteria? Do we have less than $15K left in the deal? Yes. So we have 0 left in the deal because after refinance, we get 75% of this value back through a cash out refinance. So the ARV 115, we get 75% of that back. We have nothing left in the deal because we pay ourselves back the 37.9 and the 30,000 and the closing costs that it costs to get us into the deal. And we're still cash flowing 471. I would have to look into this a bit further. Like what I would do from here is this looks good. I would send my contractor out to walk the property and give us a more accurate rehab quote. But this actually checks both boxes. We could make this either a BRRRR or a light rehab deal because we are hitting the criteria on both of this. So like you saw here I don't know how long it was, but in a few minutes, we were able to just go directly to Zillow. And because I knew the market, I knew the zip codes that I'm looking for. And we were able to see a deal here that fits both of these criteria. It could either work as a BRRRR or a light rehab or turnkey deal. If you were a client or if I was doing this myself and I could fund this deal in full where I could pay for the purchase price and the rehab in cash, I would do that because I would save the $7,000 in closing costs, or it would still be like $1,000 to $2,000, but I would save $5,000 or so in closing costs, which is a big deal on houses that are this cheap. So that was an example of me just going through and underwriting a deal. The only thing I would do different is I would look deeper at the pictures. I would plug it into my rehab estimator tool. I've done many rehabs now, so I have an idea, my construction team, like what it's going to cost for them to do a particular deal. But this is an example of one that we found in just a couple of minutes that fits both of these criteria. So since that first example was more of a BRRRR deal, it was more distressed, needed more work, I want to try and find one that's like lighter rehab or turnkey. So I'm going to go back to Zillow and I'm going to go back to for sale. And let's do 80,000 to 120 or 130. Okay. And let's just do houses. And let's see if we can find something. I don't know if we will because this is 4105. Let's go back to the county. I don't know if we will because I don't find things every day, but we're going to look. So let's go high to low. And again, I know these zip codes, so I can spot things pretty quickly. If it seems like I'm going fast, it's because I'm just like scanning and I know the ones that are pretty good. So this one here, Garfield Heights 44125, this is pretty good. And I would say this is turnkey. I don't know if the numbers would work, but let's just use this as an example. I'm going to pull this up. And I'm going to go to my underwriting sheet. And we're going to do 130. What do the pictures look like? It's in pretty good shape. So let's just I'm going to do 1,500 here for the rehab. And this is just for like the Section 8 inspection list to make sure that it passes. And I'm going to go here, 44125. 4 bedrooms pay $2,158. Some zip codes pay out the nose. Like there's some where you can buy houses for $130 to $150, but the rents are like $3,000 to $3,500 a month. But we're going to take this example since we found it pretty quickly. So 2158. Let's just do 1900 or 1950. And let's see if it works. Oh, let's also do let's see if it works as a BRRRR. I don't think it does because it's turnkey. Typically, like the turnkey or light rehab deals are already priced at the higher end. So unless you buy it cash, there's really not much of a chance to get it to work as a BRRRR. So I'm going to take this, zoom out, Garfield Heights. We could see it's like right above the sign here. So I'm going to go back and just do 44125. Sold. There should be like a sold in the last month. Okay, last 12 months. Perfect. And I want to do, it has to be above 130 if it's going to be, well, let's just say 150 minimum. So we know it was right here. And the house that we were looking at was a 4-bedroom. That's pretty big, 2,000. I'm going to say it's around 155. Yeah, I would say 155, being conservative. This is a 4-bed, 2-bath, 177, and I think this is smaller than the one we are looking at. But yeah, 171, and these are all next to the highway. So I'm going to put 155 just to be, or let's just do 157. Basically what I would do here though is I would take similar properties. So I'm looking similar square footage and bedroom count and bathrooms, and also the condition. I want to make sure it's not like super nice, like super ultra luxury or anything like that. And then I'll take the average price per square foot. I'll take like 5 properties, and then I'll multiply that by the square footage of the house that we're looking at. And then I'll have a more accurate ARV. So I have a tool that does that as well. So if we go back here, 157, does this work as a BRRRR? No, there's 27,938 left in the deal. There is cash and cash return. Nope, it doesn't work as a BRRRR. We're below the 50% and below the, oh, we're in cash flow range, but we might as well just do a light rehab turnkey deal, because you can see here the amount of capital we have in this deal, 34,500, is not that much more than 27,938. The difference with the BRRRR deal is we took out 2 loans unless we bought in cash, and we're paying 2 closing costs, 7,000 here and 7,000 here. With this, we're just putting 20% down, and this is how much we have in the deal if we include the 20% down plus the rehab plus closing costs. And we have the cash flow here, 754 and 26.24% cash on cash return. And I didn't cover this earlier, but months to pay back means what is it going to cost us, or how many months is it going to take for us to pay this back in full and make ourselves whole again? So 46 months in this case would be about a little less than 4 years. So after the 4 years, and this is good. Name me another investment vehicle where you could put your money in and get a 26% return on your money in cash flow every year. If you do stocks, like what I mentioned before, yeah, you get the appreciation, but you get appreciation with real estate as well, and the cash flow. 10 times more cash flow. So those were a couple examples. I showed you a BRRRR and a light rehab or turnkey deal that we just found directly on Zillow, and then we did the analysis in just a few minutes. So this is a very important skill that you need to have. You need to know what you're looking for, and that's what I shared here. And then you need to have a process or a tool that's going to help you to underwrite these deals. So this is the tool that I used for years until I built an internal tool in Claude AI. This is what we do for our clients if they have a lot of capital and they don't want to underwrite deals and have to learn a market and build a team and figure out whether or not they should go into a certain deal, because a lot of our clients don't have the time or energy to do that. Then you could just partner up with us and we do all this work for you. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I'm going to link to a video somewhere around this video or in the description that walks through our entire process. You can also find me on Instagram at Sean Invests and DM me the word underwriting. I can talk to you about your situation and see if we can help you out with our service and see if we can help you out with sending you deals and building a cash flowing portfolio of properties like this. But I hope you found this useful, walking through this step by step. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.